5 minutes.
Your awareness may be powerful enough to control your instincts. Your instinct will be to remove your hand from the box.
It's your girl Meesh, and welcome to another episode of the Luv MEESH Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Luv MEESH Podcast. And on this particular episode, I'm so excited. Me and my sister have completed we have officially updated our ethnicity using the Social Security Administration form SF-181, which is the race and ethnicity identification change. And I am just so excited that we have officially turned in, because you can be a non-federally recognized American Indian, which is what we've already done. We are a part of the Wattatari Nation with TP Ministry, so we've already done that. We filled out our affidavit and have those documented with the state of New York, because they will not do it here. You can visit my previous episode where I told you about that whole process. So that's a couple of episodes back. But on this particular episode, we went ahead and completed, our form SF-181. And I just wanted to give more information about that. Like, I am so excited. I remember a while back, someone had mentioned that their kids are not black, they're listed as American Indians. And I was wondering, how does one go about that? I didn't put in, any effort or research to figure it out. It was just like a thought in my head. I was wondering. And I always remember my grandma saying, we're Cherokee. A lot of African Americans, they name so many different Native American, Indian tribe names. So it's like we know our history, but we don't know our history, which is ridiculous. Seeing to it that we have a whole computer in our hand. When my parents would research, they'd have to go to the library. They'd have to, go through old records. It was real old school, the Rolodex and stuff. I'm pretty sure when my grandmother was around, I don't even think they were able to have a library card. I'm sure, because back then it was more of a club. You had to have a membership and all like that to have access to the libraries, because there were more than libraries. There were gardens, and they'd have parties there and da-da-da-da. So anyways, fast forward to now, we just have so much information, so much knowledge. We're able to pick up where our ancestors have left off. I'm pretty sure my grandmother wondered about her heritage. I'm pretty sure my mom wondered about her heritage. Now, the third generation, me and my sister, we done figured this thing out. We done updated our status. So just imagine where the next generation is going to go. It just seems like the more time that passed, the more history that is revealed. But you got to connect the dots. You got to take what your ancestors told you and add what you know to keep it going. So you're not starting all the way from scratch. So I want to start with the form. The form itself is form SF-181, race and ethnicity identification change. I have a link in the description, and it's for everyone. It's all states. It's the same form number. That's one thing about the government. It'd be the same form for everybody. So this form, it asks for your last name, your middle name, and your initial. It asks for your social security number, and it asks for your birth month and year. It says agency use. You're going to leave that blank. It has a privacy statement. Ethnicity and race information is requested under the authority of 42 U.S.C. Section 2000E-16 and in compliance with the Office of Management and Budget's 1997 revisions to the standard for the classifications of federal data on race and ethnicity. Providing this information is voluntary and has no impact on your employment status. But in the instance of missing information, your employee agency will attempt to identify your race and ethnicity by visual observance. This information is used as necessary to plan for equal employment opportunity throughout the federal government. It is also used by the U.S. Office of Personnel Management or employing agency maintaining the records to locate individuals for personnel research or survey response, and in the production of summary, descriptive statistics, and analytical studies in support of the function for which the records are collected and maintained, or for the related workforce studies. So you see that? Studies. They don't tell us about that. Social Security number is requested under the authority of Excellence Order 9397, which requires SSN be used for the purpose of uniform, orderly administration of personnel records. Providing this information is voluntary, and failure to do so will have no effect on your employment status. If SSN is not provided, however, other agency sources may be used to obtain it. So that was the Privacy Act statement. Specific instructions. These two questions below are designated to identify your ethnicity and race. Regardless of your answer to question 1, go to question 2. Question 1, are you Hispanic or Latino? A person of Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rico, South or Central America, or other Spanish culture or origin, regardless of race. For me, that would be no. Number 2, please select the racial category or categories with which you most closely identify by placing an X in the appropriate box. Check as many as applicable. Racial category. Check as many as apply. American Indian or Alaskan Native, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America, and who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment. Asian, a person having origin in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asian, or Indian subcontinental, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippine Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. Black or African American, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Hawaii, Guam, Samoa, or Pacific Islands. White, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, in the Middle East, or North Africa. Now, if you go on YouTube and you type in SF181, you're going to see a lot of videos where people have put no for Hispanic. They have put an X for American Indian or Alaska Native, and an X for white. And the reason they've done white is because it says North Africa. We could technically do white for North Africa. I don't know why we're even using these terms when we should just be using the places. South America, China, Cambodia. Like, why did we even categorize? Like, people be tricky with these words and stuff, but I'm not going to identify with white, even though we technically can because of North Africa. I'm just going to leave it as American Indian. Now, if I had my way, if I had my own personal way, I would identify as, hold on, I want to make sure I say it right, Aboriginal, American Indian. I would claim, like, if I could make my own boxes, I would do Aboriginal, I would do American Indian, I would do Africa, More so, I'm thinking of the gods that I reverend, which would be the Orisha, and I would do Egypt. If I had my own way, because when it comes to like spirituality, I connect with the natives. I also connect with the Orisha and also the Egyptian. And if you just research, if you go to godchecker.com, there's so many gods and deities and such. But I know there's a primordial creator, which is of all, right? But then, like, closer to us, as you come down from godhood, closer to man, you get different titles and stuff. So there's like in native, there's like wind god and water god and spirit god. Like, I reverend them. And then with the Orishas, you have Yemiyai. And then my best friend, I just saw the card. She gave me Ajah, which is a goddess of healing. And I'm working on a book of goddesses. And then in in Egypt, you have like Horus, and you have Horus. Let me go to my Pinterest real quick. So I was like, oh my God, as I was pulling up the goddesses, I got a whole folder. Let me go to my file. Goddesses and deities. Let me do it again. Goddesses. Yeah, gods, deities, and ancestors. Yes. Okay. I have so many. It's ridiculous. Beset. So how my journey is a long time ago, like let's say 5 years, I've just been collecting data and storing it, like categorizing it in different file cabinets. But now on this part of my journey, I'm actually organizing them and putting them in, like, I don't even want to call it a book, like in a guide format and study guide format and pamphlet format and reference format, like that, as I get deeper into it. So I'm going back on all my folders, my Pinterest, my OneNote, different things that I wrote down, and I'm actually categorizing them, which is exciting because now I'm going to be like putting out books and stuff. So it's interesting, and I can add, things that I've learned or things that I've observed to it, like personally on my journal. So journey. So it's not a quick journey. You're going to be going through this journey forever. You see, at one point I was observing and categorizing. And another point, I'm like applying, and another point, I'm like putting out ebooks. Who knows where the future is gonna go? Oh, but let me tell you, I'm gonna do a podcast on how to make a podcast with Anchor, and they just allowed me to do video. So I remember a long time ago, my sister Oracle, she don't even know it. Baby girl, whole Oracle, triple cancer. She was like, you need to do YouTube. She was telling me and my older cousin and my sister, we need to do YouTube. We like, nah, we don't got to do hair, makeup, and nothing like that. We could just put this phone out and talk and do our podcast. But look, she was already in the future. Now Anchor is giving us video ability. And I'm going to start actually doing video. So I will be doing like my hair, makeup, and stuff. I mean, it is a video. And, I'm a Libra, so I'm going to get jazzy. And, because I really be lounging. You see me two ways straight, lounging or I'm a step. And if I'm a step, I'm a step. So yeah, you get two modes for me. But I'm excited to do video. And then I can just load it right there to YouTube. Like, I didn't want to do all that extra stuff, like all these different steps. Like, it's just too much. Like, I'm just waiting for social media to be one already. It need to be like, when you make a post on one thing, it goes to Twitter, it goes to Instagram, it goes to Facebook, it goes to YouTube, it goes to all the damn things. Tumblr, I know some people still use Tumblr. It could even go to your damn website. I got Wix websites. I might even start blogging. Look, this is coming full circle. Yes, I can put my podcast blogs on my blog posts with LUV MEESH Publications. Look at that. I sure can. So I could do blogs, I could do ebooks. Look at that. This information is gonna be going everywhere, y'all. So I'm pretty sure you could pay for apps. Like one of the apps my sister had they do post to all of them, but it's still not seamless. I want it to be like a one click. When you have a company or whatever, you have different people that do it for you. So the more we use technology, the less people we need. Like my boss always say, how she say it? Job stability, job security. So the more technology we use, the less people we need. So I do understand that as well. So it's fine. You know, maybe universe will allow a way for me to be able to put people on payroll, and that's fine too. I don't mind doing that too. So let me reel it back into the podcast. So I went over the different names. So yeah, instead of doing white, I'm gonna just leave it with American Indian. But you know, if I had my way, you know, American Indian, Aboriginal, with the Orishas, so that's Africa, and with the Egyptian gods and goddesses, which is in Africa too. So, but apparently Black or African American, the difference between these names is that other people say a person having origins, a person having origins, a person having origins, a person having origins. And then they also say of the original people, of the original people, of the original people. But when you look at Black, it only says having origins in any of the Black racial groups. It don't say of the original people. So what are you trying to say? So everybody else is original but Black? No, it's actually the other way around. Black is original and everything else is watered the fuck down. That's what they don't want to say. Like, we literally are gods. I just did the whole Goddess Divine Feminine podcast. Women created all. Like, we are God. Don't be trying to water us down. You wish. And with all the powers that be, you wish. So, women, we definitely have to crown ourselves and sit on the throne, honey. Because they have dethroned us, burnt us, raped us, everything. Like, it's time to reclaim the throne. Is how I feel. Okay, so you can make a cover sheet to go with this, and I actually have a link of someone who showed their documents on Scribd, and I just kind of followed the format and the way they did their cover sheet. On there, it says fax cover sheet to SSA Office of International Affairs, fax number 1-877-385-0645. You put your name, you do the fax number, you do the number of pages, which would be 13, and you do the date. And then it says reason, SF-181, race and ethnicity form, attached documents, FF-181. And then it says IIJR 194, MOTU, Proprio, Pope's Apology to Americas, Pope's Message of Peace, American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. So that's the cover sheet. All right, and I'm actually going to read these pages, and I'm going to print them out, save them. I'm going to pass them down to my children. The more I learn, I'm like, you know, by the time I do have kids, I'll be able to give them so much knowledge. Like, when I birth my actual kids, when I speak it into existence, and I want twins in there too, they're definitely going to be American Indian. It will never say Black. They will always be identified as American Indian. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I want to give them a social security number, because you can get a live birth certificate. And when I dabble into that a little more, you know, I'm gonna come back and give you the podcast, because apparently we all know this, your social security number is your account number. You can actually find a full routing number, and some people have to use these accounts. Some people go to jail for using these accounts. I don't know. One person I saw, he was like, he wrote off his whole student loans. I'm like, what? So somebody's using our money because apparently we're dumb and have knowledge of at a fifth grade level, and so people over us are just running these accounts for us. And that reminds me of the whole Britney Spears situation. Like, how the hell is this lady still working, making money, and is not in control of her money? Like, the fuck? I just would choose not to work. You're not gonna take all of my money and I don't get to do anything with it, which is what they're doing anyway. They give us these play paychecks, and they have the actual real money. in a sense. So I'm getting duped anyways, but that's okay. The more I learn, we'll definitely make these changes. So the first one is in the House of Representatives, U.S., July 29, 2008. I have to make this bigger to read. Whereas millions of Africans and their descendants were enslaved in the United States and the 13 American colonies from 1619 through 1865. Whereas slavery in America resembled no other form of involuntary servitude known in history, as Africans were captured and sold at auction like inanimate objects or animals, whereas Africans forced into slavery were brutalized, humiliated, dehumanized, and subject to the indignity of being stripped of their names and heritage, whereas enslaved families were tore apart after having been sold separately from one another. Y'all, I'm about to cry. This is the stuff I be wanting to not remember. Whereas the system of slavery and the visceral racism against persons of African descent upon which it depended became entrenched in the nation's social fabric, whereas slavery was not officially abolished until the passage of the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution in 1865 and the end of the Civil War, whereas emancipation from 246 years of slavery, African Americans soon saw the fleeting political, social, and economic gains they made during Reconstruction eviscerated by virtue, racism, lynching, disenfranchisement, black codes, racial segregation laws that impose a rigid system of officially sanctioned racial segregation in virtually all areas of life, whereas the system of de jure racial segregation known as Jim Crow, which arose in certain parts of the nation following the Civil War to create separate and unequal societies for whites and African Americans, was a direct result of the racism against persons of African descent engendered by slavery, whereas a century after the official end of slavery in America, freedom action was required during the 1960s to eliminate the de jure and de facto system of Jim Crow throughout parts of the nations, though its vestiges still linger to this day. Whereas African Americans continue to suffer, especially our black men. God, please give them extra knowledge, wisdom, and strength, because they are locking them up left and right every day. They have them out in these streets shooting each other, and they are brothers, kings, gods, just killing each other, forcing us into our masculinity yet again in these single homes, raising these kids when, they should be on the throne next to us. So my prayer for our men is for their third eyes to open, for them to elevate from their root chakra on up, blast through that third chakra, and rest at that crown chakra, okay? And that is the prayer for me as well. Like, I'm literally excited. Let me tell y'all how universe works. There is an app that you can use to download logos, and you pay for them and they're yours. So that heart that y'all see with the radio, I bought that logo. So it's mine, and I just added Luv MEESH and, everything else. And I use Bitmoji. I use their space thing, but I don't mind giving them credit. That's completely Bitmoji's artwork, not mine. But I already created a chakra ebook, this probably was like a year ago, and I put the images in my cart, and I got little folders. Everything is folders with me. I have little folders so that when I go back to it, everything's in the chakra folder, and I can write my ebook. And y'all, I just got a download to do a dating chakra book. Like, I'm so excited. Like, most people date through their root chakra. Let me raise my hand. I was so guilty of that. But you have to move on up through these chakra systems. And you should actually work from the top down. So do you guys have the same like spirituality, like wisdom? Do you guys see the same things spiritually, like through your third eye, the world? Do you guys communicate the same? Do you guys have the same love language, the same heart? Do you guys listen to the intuition? Are you guys holding on to your sacred wombs or sexual glands? And then are you guys ready to procreate and start a family? Like, it's so interesting. I've definitely been trying to work my way from the root up, and it has not been successful. So I'm so excited to like date from the crown down. Like, there's no way, and I've always had that. Like, there's no way I want to give you, not no way. I don't want to give you a baby just because we're dating. Like, what the hell? This may not work out, and the child is going to be split between two homes. Like, I don't think, if I have my way, that is not what I would wish for my seeds, for my eggs. And you can have your own wish for your own eggs, but that's not my wish for my eggs. So and I know marriage doesn't guarantee that you'll stay together. You can most definitely get a divorce. However, I honestly feel if you're dating through the chakras, it will be success. And a lot of religious people are like this, whether they know it or not. Whether they know they're using the chakra system or not, that's how they date. They just give it different names: God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, apostles, like whatever. But we've just made things so complicated. If you take all the religions, you can line them up with the chakras. So I'm just trying to get back to basics. And if you really want to line up all the religions, they'll go back to love and knowledge, which will ultimately end up with source. So if you were to give source the name, source is love, source is knowledge, source is everything else that we see eventually. But just to give it like one name, of course it's source. And then you can divide that between love and knowledge. And then you just keep dividing that out and getting all these different names and terms, including the chakras. But anyway, so I'm excited to do that book, and it's crazy. I already got my logos for my page and everything. I got Canva. Now it's time to just put it together. So start your journey and learn. You can't do everything at once. You're not just going to boom, start a business. Like, I thought my business would have been up and running. No, it's steps. I had to learn. I had to get the knowledge. I had to get my ebooks together. Then I'm going to get my products. Then I'm going to be able to get this business credit score up. Then I'll be ready to hire a whole business manager. And then boom, then y'all will see my business. I was just trying to rush and do it, but there's steps. So it's coming. It's definitely coming. I already got my EIN. I already got the web pages up. We just got to go through these pathways the right way, and it'll bring me to the end result, which is not just to gain money, it's to share knowledge and wisdom with my sisters, my brothers, my gods and goddesses, and to collectively, receive donations to continue to spread this word and to help others. So if I'm gonna get money, I want it to be because of source. I think a lot of things are evil and wicked, how we getting this money out here. I want my money to come from source. That's how I want my business to be, like a spiritual business where the donations are coming from my gods and goddesses because of source knowledge and wisdom. Boom. So let me get back to this part. I just thought that was so funny how that came full circle for me. So let's see. Whereas, linger to this day, I definitely remember saying that. Whereas African Americans continue to suffer from the complex interplay between slavery and Jim Crow long after both systems were formally abolished through enormous damage and loss, both tangible and intangible, including the loss of human dignity, the frustration of careers and professional lives, and long-term loss of income and opportunity. Whereas the study of enslavement and de jure segregation of African Americans and the dehumanizing atrocities committed against them should not be purged from or minimized in the telling of American history. That's what that whole debate is, where they talking about they don't want to put that in it's a term they use, but they don't want that to be in the school system. Excuse me, you're not going to massacre millions of people and then not pull that in history. They only try to pull that with us of color. They definitely can't pull it with the Jews. The Jews going to be like, how dare you take out the Holocaust out of history? No, you're not going to pretend like this didn't happen. They don't do it with any other race, but they try to do it with us. Absolutely not. We remember, our DNA remember. We will never forget. We're going to keep passing that along to our seeds. Whether they do it or not, shit, we'll do it. Let's see. Linger to this day, opportunity. Whereas the story of enslavement, purged from history, minimized telling of history. Whereas on July 8, 2003, during a trip on Gorée Island, Senegal, a former slave port, President George W. Bush acknowledged slavery continuing legacy in American life and the need to confront that legacy when he stated that slavery was one of the greatest crimes of history. The racial bigotry fed by slavery did not end with slavery or with segregation, and many of the issues that still trouble America have roots in the bitter experience of other times. But however long the journey, our destiny is set, liberty and justice for all. Whereas President Bill Clinton also acknowledges the deep-seated problems caused by the continuing legacy of racism against African Americans that began with slavery when he initiated a national dialogue about race. Whereas a genuine apology is an important and necessary first step in the process of racial reconciliation, whereas an apology for centuries of brutal dehumanization and injustices cannot erase the past, but confession of the wrongs committed can speed racial healing and reconciliation and help Americans confront the ghosts of the past. Whereas the legislation of the Commonwealth of Virginia has recently taken the lead in the adoption of resolution officially expressing appropriate remorse for slavery, and other state legislators have adopted or are considering similar resolutions. And whereas it is important for this country, which legally recognized slavery through its constitution and its laws, to make a formal apology for slavery and for its successor Jim Crow, so that it can move forward and seek reconciliation, justice, and harmony for all of its citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives, 1, acknowledge that slavery is incompatible with the basic founding principles recognized in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equally. 2, acknowledge the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery and Jim Crow. 3, apologize to African Americans on behalf of the people of the United States for the wrongs committed against them and their ancestors who suffered under slavery and Jim Crow. And 4, express its commitment to rectify the lingering consequences of the misdeeds committed against African Americans under slavery and Jim Crow, and to stop the occurrence of human rights violations in the future. All right, that was the first one. So this is the Holy See. Apostolic letter issued motu proprio of the Supreme Pontiff Francis on the jurisdiction of the judicial authorities of Vatican City, State, and criminal matters. The Holy See. Let me see how many pages he got. In our times, the common good is increasingly threatened by transnational organized crime, the improper use of the markets and of the economy, as well as by terrorism. If it is therefore necessary for the international community to adopt adequate legal injustices to prevent and counter criminal activities by promoting international justice cooperation on criminal matters, and rectifying numerous international conventions in these areas, and acting also on behalf of Vatican City State, the Holy See has constantly maintained that such agreements are effective means to prevent criminal activities that threaten human dignity, the common good, and peace. With a view to renewing the Apostolic See commitment to cooperate to these ends by means of this apostolic letter, motu proprio, I established that 1. The competent judicial authorities of the Vatican City-State shall also exercise penal jurisdiction over crimes against the sanctity, the fundamental interests of the patrimony of the Holy See. B. Crimes referred to in Vatican City-State Law number VIII of 11 July 2013, containing supplementary norms on criminal law matters, criminal code, and criminal procedure code. Okay, that's a bit long, y'all. The next one is Pope Francis apologizes to indigenous people for grave sins of colonialism. In a landmark speech, Pope Francis apologized on Thursday for the grave sins of colonialism against indigenous people of America in a speech to grassroots group in Bolivia. Why he didn't come here? So many rightly ways when the Pope speaks of colonialism, he overlooks certain actions of the church. The Pope said, according to the New York Times, I say this to you with regret. Many grave sins were committed against the native people of America in the name of God. I would say Pope need to correct that. Many grave sins were committed against the whole world in the name of God by that particular group of people. But he didn't stop there. I humbly ask for forgiveness, not only for the offense of the church herself, but also for crimes committed against the native people during the so-called conquest of America, the New York Times reported. And these are documents that we should definitely have. He spoke to the crowd of more than 1,500 people at the World Meeting of Popular Movements. Definitely not enough people. Although Latin American church leaders have issued apologies in the past, this one went further and had much more targeted, the Associated Press reported. Previous apologies had not been directed to indigenous people of the America. All right. So let's see. Then that's that. The next one is a message of holiness, Pope Francis, for the celebration of World Day of Peace. Okay, let me just get to our part because there's a lot of hoopty-ha in here. I would like to briefly consider these so that in the light of God's word, we can consider all men and women. All men and women, no longer slaves, but brothers and sisters, listening to God's plan for humanity. So I would like for the world to listen to the Pope when he says we're no longer slaves, but brothers and sisters, because there's slaves in Africa right now. There's slaves in America right now. They just want to call it sex trafficking. Whatever you want to call it, it's still slave. It's still capturing. It's still bonding. People can't get free if they want to. Force them to do what they want to do, from sex to cook to work to whatever. But the Pope clearly said we're all no longer slaves. All men and women. And that should be kids too. So did that exclude the damn kids? All humankind is what it should say. It's no longer slaves. Anyways, the next one. American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, adopted at the third plenary session held on June 15, 2016. The General Assembly recalling the the contents of Resolution AGRES 2867, Draft American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, as well as the previous resolution on the issue, recalling also the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People in the America, AGDEC 79, which ratifies the progress in promoting and effectively protecting the rights of Indigenous people of the America, is a priority for the Organization of the American States. Recognizing the valuable support provided by the number of states, observer states, the organs, do that really say organs? The organs, agency, and entities of the Organization of the American States for the process within working group to prepare the draft American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, recognizing as well the important participation of the Indigenous people of America in the process of preparing this declaration and taking into account the significant contribution that the Indigenous people of Americas have made to humanity, resolves to adopt the following draft American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. Absolute. So fill that out, turn that in, fax that over, keep a document for yourself, save it, share it with your kids and your grandkids, and just keep that information going and learn more about your history. For me, I'm going to learn more about the natives. I'm going to learn more about the Orishas. I'm going to learn more about the Egyptians. I'm going to take on different meals that I learned, different herbs that they use, different spiritual practice, different womanhood practice, manhood practice. So I could share with my men, and when I have a son, share with my sons. And just get back to your roots. And this has just been coming to me so strong and heavy. You cannot know where you're going till you know where you've been. Like, how dare we not honor and reverence our ancestors? And not just grandma. It was ancestors before grandma. It was ancestors before grandma's grandma. And just going all the way back. Which leads us to our origins. Which leads us to the gods and goddesses and deities and stuff. So, you have to walk with that power and that energy, and you can walk in your own power and energy, but imagine all that power and energy from your ancestors, God and goddesses behind you. You will be a force that cannot be reckoned with. So I was excited to put this podcast out because I finally did it. I am a non-federally recognized as well as a federally recognized. So on both ends, whichever way they want to cut it, I'm covered as an American Indian. And when you fill out this form, you do it for you. If you're Mexican, put Mexican. If you're Native, do Native. If you're Asian, if you're Hawaiian, if you even want to put white. But the black, remember, the black was the only one that didn't say original people. When we all know black gives you the colors of the rainbow. Because of black, there are all the other colors. So I just think that's like an insult, and I don't think anyone should be under there. Black racial group of Africa. What do you mean, black racial group of Africa? But everybody else have original people, original people, original people. Last time I checked, we all come from one of the continents. So we're all going to be original of one of the continents. So why then is black the only one that says black racial group? You're not calling them an original people. You're calling them a black racial group. I don't know about you, but I'm a person, which means I'm people. Don't give me a title of a racial group. Group and people are two completely different things. A person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa versus a person having origins in the original people of everywhere else. And Africa is in other places. They say North Africa under the white people. And that's why a lot of people was putting down white. And some of us are from North and South America. Some of us is from China, Egypt, all of that. Guam, Hawaii. I don't know. They be tricking us with these words. So get your stuff together, clear your stuff up, claim your throne. That's what this is all. That's what these series is gonna be about. Pick up the crown, baby. You see the crown, pick it up. But in order to wear it, you need to get this knowledge. You need to get everything in line so that you can crown yourself. So I'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks a million for listening. There's a million podcasts in the world. You clicked on this one, little old this one, to hear what I have to say. I hope universe has a special message for you. You can reach me on Linktree at /love.meesh. I hope you have a better than great day. Love ya. Talk to you later. Bye.
You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet, I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?